Welcome to Superhuman Customs. I'm your host, Stephen Human, and today we are customizing this drowned figure. So she is like the evil Batman from Earth 11 or something like that from the dark multiverse, which why would you need a dark multiverse if the multiverse is already limitless? I don't know, didn't read the comics, but we are gonna turn her into Zatanna. We're gonna use a Catwoman head, we're gonna use her hair, we're gonna mold the top hat, because this body is really perfect for Zatanna. One thing I'm not gonna do is fishnet stockings. I could try it here, but that would probably turn out pretty horrible. So we are just going to turn her into Zatanna, and I think it's gonna be a really fun custom, so let's get going. Now, before we do everything, we gotta remove her head, like so, and we're gonna cut off her hair. So I'm gonna go through, and this is pretty simple. You just cut it off. Comes off nice and easy, because this is gonna be Zatanna's hair. And it takes about 10 seconds. There you go. Boom. Will I ever use this head for anything? No idea, but I will definitely use this hair. So we got the Catwoman head on now, and this hair fits actually perfectly right here on the back. So we're gonna glue it in place, and then we're gonna mold the top hat using some Milliput. Her hair is all in place. I added a little bit of fabric paint just to fill in some of these areas here. It's all dry. Now I've got some metallic Milliput, which it's kind of sparkly. Whether you'd call that full-on metallic, I don't know. I think it's more glittery. But in any case, we are going to mold her top hat and make her look like she's supposed to, because, you know, Zatanna has a top hat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit here and I'm going to roll it out. We're going to do the kind of lip first. I'm going to get it more or less where I want it, you know, kind of like that. And we'll flatten it out, and then I'll take the rest and we'll pop it up here, and we'll just start to mold. So that's the, you know, that's the thing about Milliput. It's going to take a little while to mold it in place and get it the way you want, but it will end up looking pretty cool. And again, if you don't want to hand mold it, then you always have the option to 3D print this sort of stuff. I don't have a 3D printer, and I don't know, that doesn't appeal to me as much. I like to hand mold. And so it's never going to be perfect, and you got to be okay with that, but you can still make it look pretty cool. All right, the hat's looking pretty good. I might want to sand it down once it's dry. It's hard to keep this shape and pat it all down. Obviously, the lip is going to have to be a little bit thicker, because otherwise it's going to break. Milliput does a great job, but if you make it too thin, it will break. So you just need to keep that in mind. So I'll play around a little bit more with it, but in general, I'm feeling pretty good. As you can see, I put the hair up too high. Well, not too high, it's just the hat now can't go all the way around. And I actually like the look of having the hair come out, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's a toy. Visually, it's more about how it looks visually than how it would work in real life. I'll have to fix the back here. But yeah, from the front, which is where people are going to see her, she looks pretty cool. So yeah, in real life, the hat wouldn't be able to do this. The hair would have to come down, but we're using what we got. Now everything is dry on her hat, and so we're just going to do a black coat over the top. And get it taken care of. I ground down, I sanded down some of the back. It's still not, it's not perfect because of the hair, but I like the hair like this. So it's one of those things where you just gotta make the choice of like, okay, I could cut down the hair, but there's something about having this crazy hair on a Zatanna figure that is appealing to me. So yeah, it's personal preference, but it does affect the back. So don't look at it from the back, please, because it doesn't look good from the back. Now, most of the rest of her is black as well, and she's got more of a gray, so I'm going to go over and cover everything, the gloves, you know, not the shirt and stuff, because that's yellow and white, but I'm going to go through and hit all of this, and then the funky little skirt sort of deal, which sometimes she has a skirt and sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she's just in like a bikini bottom kind of with the fishnet stockings. This one, obviously, she's got kind of a skirt and it's weird. So I'm just gonna have it be a black skirt that's weird. And then finally, the boots will go black as well. And then we'll see where we're at. Now, matching the flesh tone to her face is going to be just shy of impossible. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to not try. So that's going to be our next thing. We're going to paint the neck and the chest, and we're going to start with a brown, and then I will do the flesh tone over the top in a much lighter coat and see if we can get close to what she looks like. So that's what we're going to do. It might work, it might not. Otherwise, we'll have to paint on her face as well. And we've had, that's worked in the past. So we'll go ahead and do that and move on. All right, so I came up with a tan that I think matches pretty closely. So might not be perfect, but it's going to be pretty dang close. So I'm just going to go over the top of the brown, and at worst I think it might be a little bit too dark, which is perfect because then we can do a light coat of the regular flesh tone over the top and go from there. So just going to get this in place, and then we'll place the head back on, see what we got. Not bad. I think we got the flesh tone pretty dang close. I am really starting to be very happy with this figure. I ground down the hat, or I sanded down the hat a little bit more and repainted it. And now it's got much more of a, a really strong, smooth texture to it. And I was able to get the flesh tone really close, which was another thing I was worried about. So I'm getting very happy with how this Zatanna is turning out. So now I'm just going to go over her shirt with white, and then we're going to do the corset in a yellow, make her very, very traditional in her color scheme. So that's what we're doing now. And now on to my least favorite color, which is yellow. For those of you who watched the Wolverine episode, or Cyclops, or anyone where I use yellow, you'll see that yellow is a difficult color to work with because it's very liquidy, and so either you put it on really thick like what I'm doing right now, or it goes on really thin. See, if I barely touch it a second time, it comes off. So it's just it's a very liquidy paint, and so you just have to be careful with it and pay attention to it. This one it's going over brown, which I'm okay with because I usually feel like if you're going over a leather or something in yellow, then it's going to have some of the brown color come through. So I'm okay with that. But here we go. So I'm going to get this corset all yellowified, and then we'll do some detail work. While the yellow is drying, I might as well go through and hit the strap on her hat. The version I was looking at, it was red, and I liked that contrast, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to give her the red strap on the hat. Now originally I was thinking about just doing a light, shading of gray, like a dusting of gray, but I don't think that's actually going to look right. So I'm going to do just a full paint job of gray here on the legs where she would have her famous fishnet stockings. So I'm just going to do that. I think that's going to look better, and then I might do a wash over the top to make it so that it's a little bit darker, because this is a little bit lighter now that I'm seeing it. Maybe I'll put some darker right now. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to paint those, and then we'll see kind of what we come up with. All right, I was thinking about making these buckles gold, but I think it will blend in too much with just the regular yellow here. So I'm just going to do some silver on them and call them good. This may screw up the whole thing, but I'm not liking how gray these look. I want it to have a slightly more of a flesh tone. And so I'm gonna dry brush on some flesh tone and see where we get. And I'm not sure if this is gonna be, enough, or if it's just gonna be splotchy. I don't know. I might have to completely repaint. I don't know, but I would rather have it look really good than not have it look really good. And I think that having it just be gray is not right. So I don't know if that's making it look a little scratchy. I don't know. Maybe I'll water it down and go over it that way. I don't know. I'm going to play around, and then I'll let you guys know. All right. It lightened it up a little, but now it's kind of blotchy. I don't know. Maybe this was the wrong choice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with brown wash and see what we get with that. So that's my next thing. sometimes you experiment and it works, and sometimes you experiment and it doesn't work. And so you just have to play around. You can't be afraid to take risks and know that it might not turn out. And if it doesn't turn out, then, you know, you may have to repaint it. You may have to paint over it. I don't know. You're gonna have to make that choice. But hopefully this ends up working. All right, this turned out to be a disaster. So I just mixed up some gray paint using the flesh tone as a base, and I'm gonna go over the top. The problem is that the more layers of paint you use, the more blotchy that you get. And so I'm hoping that this will go on smooth. And it's not gonna be terribly dissimilar to what I originally had. So that was an experiment in pointlessness, but sometimes that's the route you gotta go to discover that something does not work, and you just have to deal with it. So I sprayed some of her clothes down here and her legs with a clear coat in order to help with the blotchiness of the legs. One of the last things we're going to do now is I'm going to put some gloss, this is more shiny, on like the hat and on her gloves and stuff, so that it can have the more leathery, shiny look that it needs. And we'll take a look and see if there's any extra things we want to do. Last thing here is I'm going to do a dry brush of some blue on her hair. This, obviously no one has blue hair in real life, but this is a long time technique that they use in comic books and stuff with dark hair, because it makes it look like the light is hitting it. So just going to go through, and then I think we're going to be done with Zatanna. Now, there are things that worked out pretty well and things that didn't work out pretty well in this. It shows why I do such thin coats of paint, and I tend to not do more than 2 coats, because on this we got a little bit blotchy. It's hard to tell on the legs here because of the clear coat that I put on over the top to mat it down. So that, you know, it helped in that regard. But that is one of the reasons why I try and do things very thin and very lightly, because it is easy when you're hand painting to get stuff blotchy, and that is the worst thing you can do. The hat turned out pretty good. I don't want the brim to get too thin, and so it has a couple of marks on it, because if I sanded it down anymore, it might break, and I don't want that. So again, this is all hand done, so you're gonna have to deal with some of those things. One thing that I did realize though is that, you know, I've been hesitant to use the airbrush because I'm intimidated by it. But I realized that if I had used the airbrush, if I learned how to use it, then her hat probably would have ended up perfect, because after sanding it down up here, it was smooth. And when I put the first layer of black on, it was super smooth. So my brother is coming into town this next week, and he's going to teach me how to use it. We'll do a video for it so that you guys can learn too. And so I'm going to start hopefully using the airbrush a little bit more and using some of those techniques so that things will be able to be a little bit more perfect. Because obviously I excel when things are a little damaged, when they're a little bit, you know, messed up, like the clay face or something like that. When things need to be perfect, that's where the techniques don't always work out. So I think it's going to add to my repertoire, and I think that will be very good. Well, thank you guys for watching so much. As always, I appreciate it. If you guys have any tips for me, let me know in the comments, and just have fun. Try some crazy stuff. Who knew that I would ever do a Zatanna, but I did, and it was a lot of fun. I'll see you guys soon.